Welcome to this Danish-English special report on Palestinian political fallout in Denmark. How confirmed photos of murders committed by Hamas in Gaza sparked indignation, and a funding scandal for a Palestinian Film Festival in Copenhagen. Tonight, shocking footage verified by BBC shows Hamas gunmen carrying out public executions in Gaza, despite claims that peace has returned to the region. And in Denmark, a major political controversy is unfolding. The chairman of the Palestinian Cultural Institute, which organizes the Palestinian Film Festival, has publicly praised those executions. The revelation comes from a recent report by DR titled "Chairman Behind Palestinian Film Festival Praised Executions in Gaza." Now, a politician wants to withdraw funding. The case has sparked outrage among Danish politicians and reignited debate over public funding for cultural organizations with ties to Palestine. You're watching Danish-InfoNews TV, independent fact-based journalism from Scandinavia to the world. Violence in Gaza increases following ceasefire and peace accord. Videos reveal public executions and political repercussions in Denmark. October 14 to 18th of 2025. Following the recent ceasefire and peace agreement between Israel and Hamas, violence in Gaza has increased. Verified videos reveal Hamas militants carrying out public executions, sparking international indignation and even political fallout in Denmark, after a cultural figure publicly applauded the killings. Confirmed execution video in Gaza. The BBC re-verified graphic footage of 8 men being executed by Hamas gunmen in Gaza City at 12:33 p.m. on October 14. The victims are shown in the video kneeling in a public square with a sizable crowd around them, with their hands bound behind their backs and their blindfolds on. Behind them are armed, masked militants, some sporting green Hamas headbands. All 8 are killed when the gunmen open fire a few seconds later. The gunmen are seen standing over the bodies, shouting Allahu Akbar, which translates to God is great in Arabic. "We have decided not to release the videos because it is too upsetting to display," BBC Verify stated. The BBC verified that the execution happened on Main Road in Gaza City by comparing maps and using obvious street signs. In a later statement, Hamas said that the men who were executed were criminals and collaborators with Israel, but did not offer any supporting evidence. Internal conflicts between rival clans and Hamas. The executions took place as internal violence in Gaza escalated, according to reports from local sources and Reuters. Rival clans, especially the Dogmash family, one of the most powerful in Gaza, have clashed with Hamas. Firefights between Hamas gunmen and Dogmash family members over the weekend claimed dozens of lives. In a Facebook post, a Dogmash representative denounced the executions as a criminal act. According to Celine Turker, DR's correspondent in East Jerusalem, the conflict is a reflection of a long-standing rivalries that have resurfaced following Israel's partially military withdrawal. Israeli forces have withdrawn from some parts of Gaza, which is why we are witnessing this. After 2 years of conflict and lawlessness, Hamas is making a comeback on the streets, promising to bring order back. However, this is seen by critics as a display of power. Expert: widening gap between Hamas political wing and fighters. Recent events indicate internal division within Hamas between the political leadership holding diplomatic talks abroad and the militant Al-Qassam. Professor Sune Haugbølle, a Middle East studies expert at Roskilde University RUC, asserts that there are brigades in Gaza. There is tremendous pressure on the fighters in Gaza, Haugbølle stated. However, they also worry that their resistance struggle will come to an end with the peace plan. On the ground, hostage situations and combat operations persist while Hamas diplomats in suits engage in indirect talks with Israeli officials. Hamas is unlikely to publicly show internal division, according to Haugbølle. It's obvious that Hamas doesn't want to discuss its internal issues, as they do not wish to portray a conflict between the Egyptian negotiators and the Gazan fighters. However, Haugbølle observes escalating conflict. He quotes remarks made earlier this week by the commander of the Al-Qaeda brigades of Hamas, who urged opposition to Donald Trump's peace plan, and described it as an effort to destroy the resistance. Hamas internal disputes have also been covered by the Wall Street Journal, which quoted Arab mediators as stating that the group has not yet agreed on terms of disarmament or hostage release. Haugbølle claims that these tensions may soon flare up. These tensions could easily flare up because Trump's peace plan is so absolute that it could effectively dissolve Hamas as a resistance movement. He was asked if the conflicting messages that Hamas has been sending lately point to the beginning of a split. Indeed, it might be. Once more, though, they will attempt to conceal any division. According to Haugbølle, Hamas's military wing seems much more motivated to carry on the conflict. According to them, Israel only makes significant political compromises in response to opposition. You lose political clout if you give up that battle. He also mentioned the terrible war that has raged for 2 years since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7. They are standing in the ruins of Gaza City with Israel on all sides of them. These men are desperately trying to provide for their families in the absence of an economy and a job market. Between 10,000 and 15,000 new fighters have been recruited by Hamas since the start of the conflict, according to estimates from Reuters and Israeli military sources. However, the majority of these recruits are poor and inexperienced rather than seasoned militants. For financial reasons, a lot of people join, Haugbølle said. But ideological conviction is another reason why some people do it. The rule of law has failed. Puk Damsgaard, DR's Middle East correspondent, claims that chaos has now engulfed Gaza. Law and order broke down during the conflict. Hamas's iron grip was broken. The void was filled by militias and criminal networks, some of which had Israeli support. Hamas is currently using armed force to regain control, focusing on opponents it refers to as collaborators. Although the Interior Ministry, which is controlled by Hamas, says it is bringing security and stability back, observers see this as a violent internal power struggle. Danish political implications. The chairman of the film festival honors performances. As the world reacted to the video, controversy erupted in Copenhagen. The chairman of the Palestinian Cultural Institute, which hosts the Palestinian Film Festival, Mar Khatib, praised the executions in a Facebook post. Images of 7 blindfolded men being executed and reading were included in the since-deleted post. The earth in which you are buried will not be kind to you when you betray your nation and your people. Even after you pass away, you will still freeze. It was a quick response. The festival had received 75,000 Danish kroner in municipal support, but Niels Peder Ravn, a Conservative Party member of Copenhagen's Cultural and Leisure Committee, demanded that the city stop funding it for the following year. We anticipate peaceful intentions when we donate funds to a Palestinian film festival. It's terrible to see a post that glorifies public executions, Ravn stated on P1 Morgen. Is it possible to disentangle the festival from its chairman? Films about Palestinian identity, life, and diaspora are screened at Denmark's annual Palestine Film Festival. The program this year features non-politically provocative documentaries about a father fighting to save his ailing son and a Palestinian trapped in Norway. Raun maintains, however, the moral clarity is necessary. We should re-evaluate public support if there is even the remotest doubt as to whether the festival serves peaceful purposes. This needs to be treated seriously. The Conservative intend to prevent the festival from receiving any more municipal funding in the future. Khatib replied in a written statement to DR, "I hope Nils succeeds in his effort to stop receiving funding. There is still a lot of support for our efforts, even if he is successful. We support everyone's right to share their stories, so he is welcome to donate our grant to a Jewish film festival." Demands for accountability and review. Instead of calling for immediate defunding, Klaus Mugin, a representative of the Socialist People's Party (SF) on the same committee, advocated for an administrative review. We must first ascertain whether the festival achieves the goals for which funding was provided. What counts is whether it does. Although I vehemently disagree with the statement, we must adhere to due process. Mugin went on to say that the Palestinian Cultural Institute ought to assess Khatib's suitability as a leader and make it clear if the group agrees with his stance on the executions in Gaza. He stated, "We need to know what this is and whether the association distances itself from it." Danish Palestinian cultural and solidarity groups. Palestinian organizations operating in Denmark, some cultural, some political, and some humanitarian, have received more attention as a result of the controversy. First, educational and cultural institutions. Festival of Palestine Film, PALFF. Focus organizes a yearly film festival in several Danish cities, starting in Aarhus, promoting Palestinian films, both fictional and documentaries, and offering a complex, relatable look at Palestinian life in the area and abroad are its goal. The Institute for Palestinian Culture. Focus attempts to raise awareness of Palestinian art and culture. Together with Cinemateket, the Danish Film Institute, the institute co-organizes the Palestine Film Festival. Second, associations for membership and solidarity. Association for Danish-Palestinian Friendship, DPV. Focus, a solidarity group that uses events, public campaigns, and member engagement to advocate for just peace and bring attention to injustice against Palestinians. DAPAO, or the Danish Palestinian Association. Focus, a non-profit organization that encourages equality, communication, and a cross-cultural interaction between Palestinians and Danes. It also backs integration and humanitarian initiatives. Third, Danish and international NGOs. Focus on Palestine. Significant development and humanitarian initiatives are carried out in Palestine by a number of Danish and foreign NGOs. The United Nations Relief and Work Agency, or UNRWA, strives to enhance the quality of life for Palestinian refugees in Gaza, the West Bank, and surrounding nations with assistance from Denmark. A Palestine solidarity group is run by Action Aid Denmark, Mellemfolkeligt Samvirke, a volunteer organization that advocates for human rights and self-determination. Oxfam Denmark offers emergency aid and protection in conflict areas like Gaza and supports economic development projects in Palestine, such as the olive oil industry. Other well-known NGOs that are actively involved in human rights and humanitarian aid for the local population include Save the Children Denmark, Dan Church Aid, and Amnesty International Denmark. Broader context: deteriorating divisions, fragile peace. The growing violence in Gaza, the Hamas executions, and the international fallout show how shaky the current peace is. The reality in Gaza and the polarization it causes abroad presents a picture of lawlessness, mistrust, and moral division. In contrast to President Trump's peace framework, which calls for reconstruction and stability. According to one observer, the bombs may have been stopped by the ceasefire, but the blood has not. This report follows up on DR's investigative coverage, and it's part of Danish-InfoNews TV's ongoing analysis on the situation in Gaza and its ripple effects across Europe. With verified materials from BBC Verify and expert insights from DR's Middle East correspondents, we continue to track both the internal conflicts within Hamas and the growing political tensions in Denmark. For more verified news, context, and analysis, subscribe to Danish-InfoNews TV. Click subscribe, activate notifications, and stay informed with independent, fact-checked reporting you can trust.